There is one thing many Christians are not prepared for when they decide to fully surrender to God. They think that once they give everything to Him, life will become easier, new doors will open, and blessings will quickly follow. But then the opposite seems to happen. Some people lose important relationships. The plans they worked so hard to build begin to fall apart, and they find themselves asking, "Lord, I have already surrendered to you. Why is everything becoming more difficult?" The truth is that surrender does not begin with God changing your circumstances. It begins with Him changing you. And the first thing God often does is not give you more, but reveal the things that have been occupying His rightful place in your heart. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because until those things are brought into the light, true transformation cannot begin. That is the first thing that often happens when someone genuinely surrenders their life to God. God exposes what has been replacing Him in your heart. The first thing that often happens when you truly surrender to God is not peace or blessing. Many times, the first thing that happens is exposure. God begins to show you what has actually been occupying His place in your heart. Many people believe they love God above all else, but it is often only when God touches something important in our lives that we discover what we are truly holding on to. Some place their hope in a relationship, others place their security in money. Still others live for the approval of people more than for the will of God. This is exactly what happened to Abraham. After years of waiting, he received Isaac, the son of promise. Yet God asked him to place Isaac on the altar. God was not trying to destroy his promise. He was testing what was sitting on the throne of Abraham's heart. That is why Jesus said, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The thing you fear losing the most often reveals the thing you trust the most. So ask yourself, if God asked you today to surrender the most precious thing in your life, would you be willing to do it? True surrender always begins when God exposes the things that are competing with Him in our hearts. God begins breaking the old self to create the new. After God exposes the things that are competing with Him in our hearts, He begins transforming the person within us. This is often the most difficult stage for many believers because God is not merely dealing with circumstances, He is dealing with the heart. Many people live in anxiety because they constantly try to control everything. They fear the future, fear failure, and fear losing the things they love. But true surrender means giving God control over the very things that worry you the most. Jesus demonstrated this in the Garden of Gethsemane when He prayed, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." He knew the suffering that lay ahead, but He chose to trust God rather than follow his fear. This is also what God desires to do in each of us. When we surrender, He begins breaking down the old self that lives in worry, fear, and the need to control everything. Little by little, He builds a new person who knows how to trust, obey, and rest in His faithfulness. It is here that true peace begins to appear, not because every problem has disappeared, but because you know that your life is in the hands of God. You step into the life God has prepared for you. After God exposes the things that have been occupying His place in your heart and begins transforming the person within you, He starts leading you into the purpose He prepared for you long ago. Many people view surrender as a loss, but in reality, it is the moment when you begin discovering the life God truly intended for you. Think about Peter. If he had continued clinging to his boat and the familiar life he knew, he would never have become the man God used to impact thousands of people. The greatest chapter of his life began when he chose to follow Jesus. The same thing happens when we surrender. Wrong doors begin to close. The right path becomes clearer, and we start recognizing God's guidance in our daily lives. But the most wonderful part is not the new opportunities or the blessings we receive. The most wonderful part is that we begin to experience God in a deeper and more personal way. Because the ultimate goal of surrender is not success or comfort. The ultimate goal is to walk closely with God and become the person He created us to be. If there is one thing you need to remember today, it is this: surrender is not about losing your life. It is about placing your life into the hands of the one who created it. Perhaps God is showing you an area that you have not fully surrendered to Him yet. A relationship, a future plan, a fear, or simply your desire to stay in control of everything. But God is not asking you to let go because He wants to take something away from you. He is asking you to let go because He wants to lead you into something better. So today, will you continue trying to write your own story, or will you allow God to take the pen? If you are ready to surrender every area of your life to Jesus, type, "Jesus, I surrender," in the comments as a declaration of your faith today.